I'd like to present to you our guest speaker today, friend to many of us, a Gateway graduate, a former trustee of our school. Several of you have him serving as your pastor. He is our dear friend and preacher for the morning, Jeff Evans from the Vine Church. Jeff, come and declare the Word of God to us, and hopefully do a better job than I would have done. All right? It's all yours.
Well, I am so grateful to be here with you. I drove a long way from Rancho Cucamonga. It's a mile away. I want to show you the first slide. How to eat candy corn. My daughter sent this to me this morning. First thing is you open the bag. The second thing is you pour the candy corn into trash can. And number 3, then you eat a Reese's peanut butter cup. Can I get an amen? Amen. And all the candy corn people said, we're out of here. I think my wife is watching this. Hi, hun. She loves candy corn. That is some disgusting stuff. It's a wonderful season. I love fall. I love, even though I'm wearing my Dodger socks, I love this time. Hockey has started. Football has started. Baseballs have games that matter. And we're starting on an incredible journey of candy, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and then you might as well just throw in Easter after that, because, you're going to eat then too. Beautiful season. I love it. My wife asked me, she said, well, they asked you to film. What are you going to preach on? I said, honey, I have absolutely no idea. And she says, well, that'll go over well. Thanks, hon. Just pray for me. Pray for me. So then she came home from work last night, and she says, so what are you going to be preaching on? And I said, well, I'm going to preach, I guess I'd call it the sleeping Jesus. She says, the sleeping Jesus? And I went on to share with her what was it about. She says, oh, stuff you're not good at. Yeah, that's it, hon. I'm going to preach on stuff I'm not good at. Thank you so much, babe. 20 years ago, was the full-time youth pastor at Emmanuel Baptist Church under Pastor Rob Zinn, and had a part-time gentleman, Ruben Galarza, who you've had lead you in worship many times. We felt God calling us to do a church plant, and so had no idea what that meant, what it looked like, what you needed to do. And so in thinking about doing this church plant in Rancho Cucamonga 19 years ago, some of the things that we thought about with church planting is, well, number one, you need a crowd. That's helpful to have a crowd. You need Bible teachers who will go through anything with you. And you need compassionate and caring people to deal with and help people that are going through loss and mourning. And then you need a team that's trained, that's well-trained to sail through the storms with you. So let's look at Matthew 8:18. Matthew 8:18. When Jesus saw the crowd around him, he instructed his disciples to cross to the other side of the lake. What? Wait a minute, to do a church planting, you need a crowd. When Jesus saw the crowd, he said, hey, get in the boat, we're leaving. We're leaving the crowd. Now, if I'd have been one of the disciples, I would have scratched my head and said, he doesn't know what he's doing. Verse 19. Then one of the teachers of religious law said to him, teacher, I will follow you wherever you go. Oh, I'm sure the disciples were like, rock on. We're a bunch of fishermen. We need someone who knows the Hebrew Scriptures. And on top of that, we need someone who will what? Go and follow wherever you go. If I was one of the disciples, I would say, okay, that looks better. I don't know what the deal is with the crowds, but this is looking better. This is what we want. Godly, biblical teachers who are all in. Verse 20. Jesus replied, and I wonder if he did a well right before this. Jesus replied, Foxes have dens to live in, and birds have nests. But the Son of Man has no place even to lay his head. Obviously, he didn't want to go that far to go to a place and follow Jesus if there was not going to be a bed. Verse 21. Another of his disciples said, Lord, first let me return home and bury my father. Now that's the kind of people we need in a church plant. He cares about his dad. Dr. Stubblefield, we've prayed for him this morning. He was one of my professors. We need people in the church to gather around and love people when they're hurting and be there with them. And here we have a gentleman in the scriptures who says, my dad died. And I need to care for my family. I need to go home and bury him. And the disciples probably like, yeah, that's just the kind of guy we need on this team. Verse 22, Jesus told him, follow me now. Let the spiritually dead bury their own dead. I don't get it. To do a church plant, you need a crowd, you need Bible teachers, you need people that go through anything with you, you need compassionate, caring people to rally around the people that are hurting. You need a team that is well trained to sail through the storms. Well, at least we know Jesus had some sailors, some fishermen who knew how to work through the storms. He may have turned down those three, but we know his disciples, some of them know everything about boats and water. Matthew 8, 23 through 24. Then Jesus got into the boat and started across the lake with his disciples. Now, if I had been one of the disciples, I would have been like, this is awesome. No more crowds, no more ministry. I'm from Arizona. You know, I was introduced to water when I was 20, okay? And so the idea, I have friends that live up in Lake Arrowhead, and they invite us up to go on the water, and it's just, when you're from the desert, it's wonderful. And if I had been one of the disciples, I would have just been like, oh, yeah, I get it. Those other people, they had other agendas. Let's just be together. And let's get on the boat together and enjoy this beautiful lake and the Sea of Galilee and the region around it, and it's gorgeous. This is good, and we're with Jesus, and he's got time just for us. This is fantastic. Verse 24, suddenly, a fierce storm, not a California, we're on storm watch, you know? Some of you that are from places where it really rains, you turn the news on, and it's like there were 4 drops on some weatherman's car, and we are on storm watch. Every channel is on storm watch. And they'll interview somebody who's getting their feet wet because we're on storm watch in LA. Wasn't that kind of storm. Suddenly, a fierce storm struck the lake. And if you've studied this and you know the terrain and the geography and the mountain region around it, it's a lot like what we've got with the LA and the wind tunnel that comes through out near Palm Springs, and the wind comes in a hurry and crashes down. Fierce storm struck the lake with waves breaking into the boat. Okay, this Arizona boy, now I'm out. Waves are breaking into the boat. But Jesus was praying. But Jesus was telling him to hang in there. But Jesus was what? Jesus was sleeping. Didn't he just tell one guy he has no place to lay his head? I got no place to lay my head, but if you want to come with us, I'll show you how to sleep on a boat that's not comfortable. What was he laying his head on? It may have just been his shoulder. It may have been the edge of the boat. It may have been a pile of nets. It may have been some sails. It may have been some ropes. But what we know is this was not a little LA storm watch. This was a fierce, troubling, Jesus is sleeping and Jesus is probably getting wet. His clothes are soaking up water, and he's sleeping through a storm. I sleep through a storm every night. How many of you know what this contraption is? You know what this is? This is a CPAP machine. This is my CPAP machine. And when I wear it, I am dirt sexy. I have to wear this. Do you know what CPAP is an acronym for? Try and get some sleep with a vacuum hose around your neck. That's what's an acronym for. It's awful. It's the worst, but I got to wear it. Sleep apnea has triggered and worked to kill 33,000 people every year. It's a serious thing. Oxygen, I've heard, is important to have in your life. I don't know if Jesus was uncomfortable. I don't know if he had a rope that he was laying on, but Jesus is completely asleep in this storm. If I'm one of the disciples, what do I do? What do I do? This is a bad storm. The guys who know fishing, they look white as a ghost. This is bad. If they look bad, we're bad. This is bad. Somehow Jesus is knocked out. We are in trouble. I know what I'll do. I'm gonna do what a godly follower of Jesus, a lover of God would do. And that's exactly what the disciples did. Matthew 8:25. The disciples went and woke him up. And they're shouting, "Lord, save us, we're going to drown." And they probably had to shout really loud to get over the volume of the storm raging. Jesus, wake up. We are going to drown. And I'm thinking that's probably the most spiritual thing you could do. Because when you're going through a tough time, run to Jesus. We just sang he's our anchor. Right? Go, you run to Jesus. You're in trouble, you run to Jesus. Let's see what Jesus responds. Well, they scream out, "Lord, save us, we're going to drown." Didn't Jesus just tell a guy, "You need to come with me now. Don't go bury the dead"? I wonder if Jesus was saying, "You need to come follow me now because I'm about to teach these men about death-defying situations. You got to get on the boat now. This is when we're doing this thing. I got to go bury my dad. No, now. You got to follow me now." He didn't tell him why. You need to come follow me now. Get in this boat with us. I'm going to show you what it's like to live in a world that is plagued with death. Have you ever felt like Jesus was sleeping through your storm? Yeah. We got this building for church, and it's a nightmare. We literally only put up 7 walls. 7 walls! It's been 3.5 years. We don't have the final city approval. We're in a lawsuit. It's a nightmare, and they're not suing us. We're suing them. Air conditioning doesn't work. Sometimes it does. It's a nightmare. And I feel like Jesus has been sleeping through the entire storm, which is why my wife said, "Oh, you're going to preach on something you're bad at." Yes, I am. I am horrible at faith. I am fantastic at fear. I am lousy at faith. I'm fantastic at fear. I don't like to be scared. I don't go into those haunted house things where people jump at you and all of that. Nah, I'm on pills. That'll have a heart attack. You know what I'm saying? I'll have to take 9 people to drag me out of there. But I'm lousy with faith. Our elder team, I have to put around me in our elder team people that excel or are gifted, are just wise with faith. I remember as a trustee, we had times when we're going, "Lord, we know you are at work. We know this property needs to sell up in Mill Valley. We know you are guiding. We know there's a place to be. We know where you want us to be. And there were times Dr. Orridge stood up with us as trustees and says, I have a word for us. The word is, I don't know. And I remember going, boo, the president doesn't know. Holy smokes. Man, do I like that. I can live with that. I can deal with that because I never know. I never know. Church people come up. Hey, do you know when the ladies that are, I don't know. Do you know how to get the church out? I don't know. Do you know when we're going to, I don't know. I don't know anything. And to have the leader go, I don't know. Oh, Dr. Orridge, it was so refreshing. Your pain and your anxiety was so refreshing to me. Thank you. You ever feel like Jesus is sleeping through your storm? Gosh. Our daughter was pregnant, got a tumor on the vagus nerve. Doctor said she's got a great probability she'll never be able to talk with her regular voice. She has just started helping Reuben and the worship team. You got to go through that whole thing. Is it cancerous, this and that? You're sitting there, you're waiting, and you're praying, Lord, there's a cute blonde kid. She's a sweetheart. I'm a big ugly dude. Just give me that thing. Give me that tumor. Give that, I'll take that. Not her. Not her. And you're just like, Lord, we've been praying. We've been praying. I think you've been sleeping. I think you've been sleeping. Praise the Lord, they came in. They had done the surgery. They had not nicked where her vocal cords were. There was a chance that would happen. And when she came to, we were there, and they kind of nudged her, waiting to hear what she says and how she sounded. And, when you've been under, you wake up, you don't know what's going on. And she started talking in her regular Brittany voice. I was like, wow, Lord, thank you so much. Tears. But I still was like, Lord, you were sleeping. That's not the way I would have dealt with my pain, the way you dealt with it. Obviously, Jesus wants the disciples to wake him up, right? Psalms 44:23. Psalms 44:23 says, "Wake up, O Lord. Why do you sleep? Get up. Do not reject us forever." Psalms 116, 3-4. Obviously, Jesus wanted to be woken up because in Psalms 116 it says, "Death wrapped its ropes around me. The terrors of the grave overtook me. I saw only trouble and sorrow. Then I called on the name of the Lord. Please, Lord, save me." These are the verses of our scriptures. Matthew 8, verse 26. Jesus has been woken up. And Jesus responds, "Why are you afraid?" And I think he's ticked. Why are you afraid? And if it wasn't enough for him to ask the disciples, "Why are you afraid?" He then adds, "You have so little faith." Meanwhile, he's got to yell this because the storm's still going on. Why are you so afraid? We're going to die. We're going to die. That's why we're afraid. And you were sleeping. You slept through the whole thing. Why are we afraid? What? Are you crazy? You slept through the storm. We're going to die? And then Jesus says, "You have so little faith." And the storm is still raging. I thought we were to wake up, O Lord. Why do you sleep? I thought Psalms 116 says, "Death wrapped its ropes around me. The terrors of the grave overtook me. I saw only trouble and sorrow. Then I called on the name of the Lord. Please save me." If I'm one of those disciples, I'm going, hey, time out, man. We were applying Scripture. We were supposed to call on you. We didn't call on another God. We woke you up. We woke you up. What do you mean we have no faith? We trust that you're going to take care of the storm. What in the world is going on here? I thought the troublemakers were the sea and the wind. I don't see any sin in the disciples except when they go to Jesus. I think what happened was the disciples weren't doing the godly thing. We find Jesus wasn't happy with the disciples who woke him up. And to wake him up with such fear and faithlessness. What did Jesus want his disciples to do? What do? We're going to die. Where was the safest place on the boat? The safest place on the boat was to curl up and to sleep right next to Jesus. If it had been a small child on that boat, and not a man, because men are dumb, if it had been a small child, guess what the child would have done? Would have ran into Jesus' arms without a CPAP and just slept there with Jesus. We love WWJD. What would Jesus do? We love discipling people. Follow Jesus. Do what Jesus would do. Okay? The disciples are on here. They thought they were doing what Scripture said, wake him up and ask him to save them. But Jesus says, that was wrong. Why were you afraid? Why you have no faith? It seems to me, what would Jesus do? Jesus, when a storm hits, takes a nap. What would Jesus do? What should I do? Take a nap. That won't work. That won't work. I'm in a Western culture. We have to-do lists. We get things done. If we can't get something done, we'll create something that'll look like we got something done so we can at least say we got something done. We don't just roll over and take a nap. What about all the verses about all that sleep and slumber? You're going to be in poverty and don't be lazy and blah, 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 blah. Jesus is asleep during a death-defying storm. You can't argue Scripture. He's sleeping. Well, he had a rough time with his ministry and he needed some sleep. Really? 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 That's what's going on? I think Jesus wanted to see, you guys going to go over? Are you going to sleep next to me? Didn't John, the youngest disciple, the beloved, wasn't he known for laying his head against the chest of Jesus? And he was rock and roll. He's the one that gets the revelation. I think Jesus had he called him his beloved. The safest place on the boat was to sleep next to Jesus. I didn't put this in the notes, but Mark 3:14 says that Jesus gathered around him some disciples, and the very first thing it says why he gathered them together, Mark records that in Mark 3:14, he gathered them together so that they would be with him. The next thing is then to go to preach and to teach and to heal and all that. But the very first thing that we get from Mark 3:14 is these disciples are there to, 3 words, be with him. My mind is blown that Jesus cares enough about us awful sinners that he wants us to have fellowship with him and to be with him. You want to be with me? No, you don't understand. I'm no good. I want you to be with me. David Mathis from the Desiring God website had this to say. God made us to spend a third of our lives sleeping, unconscious, inactive, exposed, dependent. It's a nightly reminder of our frailty and limitations. We are creatures, not the Creator. Sleep is telling us something profound, he goes on to say, and it does so every night. Sleep invites an exercise of faith. When we lie down, close our eyes, and give ourselves over to sleep, we make ourselves vulnerable, like Saul before David and Samson before Delilah. I think Jesus wanted his disciples to sleep. I can't figure out any other answer. I thought they did the godly thing. Wake him up. You are the God who can solve the storms. Wake up. Psalms 4:8 says, in peace I will lie down and sleep. For you alone, O Lord, will keep me safe. Psalms 23:4. Psalms 23, we all know. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid. Remember, that's exactly what Jesus said. Why are you so afraid? They had faith, but they had little faith. Why? He says, why are you so afraid? Why are you so afraid? Even when I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid. Here's why I won't be afraid. The psalmist says, for you are close beside me. Close beside me. I think Jesus on the boat was waiting for them to cozy up, grab the sail, and get next to him. If Jesus is in the boat during the storm sleeping, and we're to do what Jesus does, we're to sleep through storms we cannot control. Matthew 8:27. The disciples were amazed. I think so. Who is this man? I like that they said that to each other while they're on the boat, like Jesus wouldn't have heard them or even known. Who is this man? I would have done that. Who is this guy? That was crazy. We got in trouble, but that was crazy. Who is this man? They asked. And then even the winds and the waves obey him. What? Waves and wind? Oh. Who is this man? Who is Jesus? I'm learning to find out that Jesus is the one who sleeps through storms, because it's all in his hands. I have 6 grandkids, 3 kids. When my girls were little, I remember times when they would be afraid, run to their bedroom, flip the light on, the lights would come on, love on them. Eventually they learned that all that needed to take place to not be afraid was just to flip the switch. The disciples got a huge learning curve that, as awfully huge as that storm sounded and looked like, for Jesus, it's just a light switch. It's just a switch. Maybe Jesus wanted them to sleep and to all die. Isn't in Hebrews 11, doesn't it tell us that Abraham had so much faith that if he had to put Isaac to death, that what? He believed that God would bring him back to life. What if on the other side of the shore, the story was we got in the boat and this huge storm. I know, we saw the storm out there and we're thinking Jesus and the dudes are out there. Well, then what happened? Oh, it was incredible. This storm is going nuts. We think we're going to die. And then all of a sudden, John, the beloved, who always is laying on Jesus' chest, decided maybe what we should do is just do what Jesus is doing and go and lay next to him. And so we saw him go over and lay on the ropes and lay next to Jesus. And then the others, like, well, if he's going to sleep and we're all going to die, let's just all die together, which is probably what Thomas said. Let's go and die with Jesus. And so let's just all go and take a nap, because if Jesus is going to sleep, we can sleep. Let's all sleep. And then on the shore, people are going, well, then what happened? We all died. What? Yes. He didn't solve the storm. The storm took us down and we all died. Well, how are you here now? Oh, he brought us back and here we are back on the shore. We're excited about ministry with him now. Jesus brought people back all the time. Jesus is the one who sleeps through storms. In 1912, at the age of 6, a little boy by the name of Douglas Spedden, and there's a picture of him on the internet. He's playing with a top. He's playing with a top on the deck of the Titanic. Wealthy family. They were in wonderful quarters. And this little Douglas Spedden is known for sleeping through the entire iceberg Titanic sinking. His parents had to wake him up. Son, get up. We need to go out and look at the stars. Okay. Got into a lifeboat, fell back to sleep. Before the other boats came to rescue them, there were some icebergs nearby. He wakes up and he says, Mom and Dad, look, it's like the North Pole without Santa Claus. Douglas Spedden slept through the sinking of the Titanic. And Jesus was sleeping through that storm. Back to church planning. Well, you need a crowd. No. You need solid Bible teachers that'll go wherever you're going to be. Well, maybe not. Well, you need compassionate and caring people when people are going through their deepest mourning. Well, maybe not. Well, you need a well-trained team of men and women around you who can help you sail through the storms. Oh, well, maybe not. Maybe church planning is really just God doing everything. I think he said in Matthew 11:29, take my yoke upon you. That means to be joined to him. So if they were having a yoke when the ship was tossed, they couldn't have moved away from Jesus. They would have just gone ahead and slept with him because they would have been tied to the yoke. Jesus said, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Learn what I do. I sleep through storms that you cannot solve. And Jesus says, for I am gentle and lowly in heart. And then he says, and you will find rest for your souls. In Proverbs 3:24 through 26. You can go to bed without fear. You will lie down and sleep soundly. You need not be afraid of sudden disaster or the destruction that comes upon the wicked, for the Lord is your security. I'm going through some things that I think are way beyond my control, and I have been fearful way too long. I think I'm going to take a nap. Let's pray. Father, there are so many of us here, Lord, that are learning your scriptures and learning to love you and to learn to love others and want to change the world with your name and your power. Father, thank you for reminding us that sometimes there are just things that are out of our control. Help us, Father, during those times to not be fearful, but to rest in you, to be with you. Lord, thank you, Father, that nothing bothers you except when we're fearful and faithless. Lord, like the Father said, wanting his son to be healed, he said, I do believe, but Lord Jesus, help my unbelief. Father, would you help us when we're fearful? And help us, Lord, with our unbelief, because we do believe in you. In Jesus' name, amen.